Welcome to Engage New York Eureka Math Grade 4 Module 3 Review Test with Mrs. Hutko. That's me. I did a video for number 1 and for number 2, but this video is about number 3. Number 3 says to use any place value strategy to divide, right? So that means you get a choice, which is almost a problem because we've learned so many ways to divide, right? So we have 2,400 divided by 4. If you want to use the standard algorithm, then we would write it like this, 2,400 divided by 4, and then we would write the family out to the side. So the way we do it, our family is the dad, who stands for divide, the mom, who stands for multiply, the sister, who reminds us to subtract, the brother, who reminds us to bring down, and then sometimes we use Rover, the dog, who either tells us to repeat, which means go back up to dad and start over, or reminds us to check for a remainder, right? All right, so if we do it like this, we start with the thousands place, and we would go 2 divided by 4. Well, if we have 2 donuts and 4 people, we cannot divide that. So that's going to be 0. Oh, yes. Okay. If you're yelling at me that yes, we could really cut the donuts in half and it would be fine, you gotta wait. We're gonna get to that part. All right. So yeah, let's go. Now we multiply, right? The mom says multiply. Sometimes I like to put a little X here to remind me. And then my students are having trouble remembering which numbers to multiply. So let me highlight them each time. The 0 times the 4 is what we're going to multiply. And we're going to put our answer right there. It's always the 4 that you're multiplying by, and then it just changes with each number we write across the top, okay? So let's go. 0 times 4 is 0. Sister says subtract. We subtract. We get 2. And the brother tells us to bring down. So we bring down the 4. Now remember, if you learned the box method, then brother actually stands for bring up. So that's another way you could do this strategy, right? Okay, and so now we do divide again. We're on Rover. He says repeat. Go check with Dad. Dad says divide 24 by 4. So we can skip count, right? Really, since we have our 4 out here, we should just start a skip count list anyhow. So if you have a whiteboard or a piece of paper, that would be a great thing to do. I'll put my list right here. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, that's the one I need. I'm just going to keep going. 24, 28, 32, 36, 40. If you get to 10, that's usually a good number too. So 24 divided by 4 equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I put the 6. It's got to be above the 4, so make sure you're in the right column. And then I ask, what are we going to multiply? Think that through. Which 2 numbers are we going to multiply? Yeah, this time it's going to be the 6, right? We have the 6 times the 4. It's always the 4. So it's the 4 times whatever our newest number is up here, okay? So then we go, 6 times 4 is 24. Subtract, we get 0, right? Sister tells us to subtract. Brother says, hey, bring down that 0. We have a 0. Rover says repeat, go back to divide. So 0 divided by 4, well, that's going to be 0, right? That's nothing, right? If I have 0 donuts and I try to share it with 4 people, we're all getting 0 because there's none there to be shared. And then we multiply. 0 times 4 equals 0. Subtract, you get 0. Bring down the 0. Let me just do it one more time. 0 divided by 4 is still 0. 0 times 4 is 0. Subtract, you get 0. All right? That means 2,400 divided by 4 equals 600. Okay? Now, there are lots of ways to do it. I suppose I could do our silly way. You guys want to do our silly way with our choose your fighter? Okay, so let me change colors. If we choose our fighter, then I like to make a place value chart. So let's start there. So we have a ones place, right? A tens place, a hundreds place, and a thousands place. And then we draw our original number, which is 2,400, right? Then you use your red pen and you make a big squiggly line, right? And that red pen just tells me where to differentiate between the original number I started with and then dividing it with my fighters, right? Okay, and how many fighters will I need, right? I'm going to need 4 fighters. So let's make their spaces. 1, 2. When am I going to learn to draw those blue lines longer? I always like to make mine into a box so I don't get confused on where my last space is. Make these lines. All right, we got to choose names for our fighters, right? Okay, so let's see here. I could use Jasper. That's one of my dog's names. My other dog's name is Zuma, so we'll have them fighting. Let's see here. I think we have a dog, Chloe, in our class. Let me make sure that's a capital C, right? And then, oh, and then we'll use Rover, right, from our list over here. So the family dog Rover. So these 4 dogs, right? They're all walking down the street and they see 2,400 bones, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, look at those bones! I want them all for myself." Super's like, "Oh, I want them close." Like, "Oh, I'm gonna eat those bones." Rover's like, "Move over! I'm eating those bones." And so they start a big old fight over it. And then one of them says, "Oh, hey, or I guess we could just divide them between us and share, right?" Now, just a heads up, any leftovers always go to me, Mrs. Hefco. I love leftovers. Doesn't matter. Dog bones, brownies, ice cream, broccoli. I want it all. Okay. So we start with our 2. And we go to put them in the boxes, and it doesn't work because if I took my 2, then Jasper would get 1 and Zuma would get 1, well, 1,000, and Chloe and Rover would get nothing. So that doesn't work. So I actually have to decompose those 2 and put them in the hundreds place. So when we decompose, how many do we get to draw over in the hundreds place? Show me on your fingers. Yeah, that's right. Hopefully you're holding up all 10 fingers, right? It is not an accident that we have 10 fingers and we draw 10 discs, right? That's how it works. We move over and decompose our 10 discs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then we do it again for the second one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Notice that I now have 24 in the hundreds place, and that's exactly what we did here, is we had 24 and we divided it by 4. So we're going to do that again, all right? I'm going to change colors as I cross out. So I cross out 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I give each dog 100, right? So there's 100 for Jasper, 100 for Zuma, 100 for Chloe, and 100 for Rover. Nice job. Then I cross out 4 more. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 for Jasper, 1 for Zuma, 1 for Chloe, 1 for Rover. I cross out 4 more, and I give each dog 1. Try to keep these pages neat so that you don't miss a remainder or anything like that. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then our last 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4. And then there are no 10s and there are no 1s, so those are all zeros. So we just have to count up this one row, and it shows 600, right? Just a reminder that the answer is that whatever one dog or one fighter gets, right? So one fighter got 600, and so we are good to go. If you want to write, and then you just have the answer, but check it out. It doesn't matter how you do it, right? When we use the standard algorithm, we got 600. When we used a place value chart in our fighters, we got 600, okay? And it said to use any place value strategy. So you use the one that works best for you. All right, here comes our next one. 42 crayons come in a box. If two teachers share 3 boxes equally, how many crayons does each teacher receive? So I really like to draw a picture. And so this first picture of a box of crayons has 42 crayons in it. Here's my next box of crayons. It has 42 in it also. Here's my third box of crayons. It has 42, right? So I'd kind of like to know how many are in all 3 boxes. Now I will say that we are sharing between 2 teachers, right? So really, I could give one teacher 42 and the other teacher a box of 42. And then I would just have to divide that one last box of 42 in half between the teachers. But I don't know if your test tomorrow is going to have logic like that, that'll let you just split up the boxes and then do a simpler problem. So I am going to do it the more difficult way, just in case we need to, but this is a great option, right? Okay, so using my 42, 42, 42, I have 2 choices. I can do 42 times 3, or I can do repeated addition, 42, 42, 42. Either way, we will get the same answer. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 4 is 12. Or 2, 4, 6. 4 plus 4 is 8. Plus 4 is 12. Check it out. Doesn't matter how you do it. Okay, so now we have 126, and we need to divide it between the 2 teachers, right? Between the 2 fighters. Ooh, yeah, so let's get some teacher fight going on, right? All right, so let's make a place value chart. Ones, I'm going to make it long this time. Tens, I'm going to make it long this time. And hundreds. I draw my place value discs, right? So we've got 120, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ooh, make sure you can see them. Otherwise, it'll cause you problems later. We go to red, right, and make sure that we draw our squiggly lines so that you know what your original numbers are. And then I need to make it between 2 fighters. I do like to make a box so I don't mess up where my last numbers go, my last discs go. So my 2 fighters, so we will make Mrs. Heathcote, and we will fight with Mrs. Fitzgerald, right? With Maestra Fitzgerald, because she's my partner teacher and we teach at a dual immersion school. So we have a Spanish teacher and an English teacher. All right, here we go. So Maestra Fitzgerald and Mrs. Heathcote are walking down the hallway and they see 3 boxes of crayons, right? Oh, I want the crayons. No, I want the crayons. No, I'm going to take them all for myself. And then one of us says, ooh, or we could just divide them and share, right? What a great idea. So they look at the first box. And Miss Heathcote says, oh, it's a remainder. I get to keep it. Miss Fitzgerald says, no, look, we can just go ahead and decompose that and put it in the tens column. Show me on your fingers how many we're going to put in the tens column. That's right, all 10 fingers, right? We have 10 fingers for a reason. So we put them in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And now let's go ahead and cross out and put them into each teacher's bag, right? So 1 for Miss Heathcote, 1 for Miss Fitzgerald. 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 Make sure you're keeping everything neat and tidy. 1 for Miss Heathcote, 1 for Miss Fitzgerald. No remainders, so I can go ahead and go to the ones column. We do the same thing. 1, 2. 1 for Miss Heathcote, 1 for Miss Fitzgerald. 1, 2. 1 for Miss Heathcote, 1 for Miss Fitzgerald. 1, 2. 1 for Miss Heathcote, 1 for Miss Fitzgerald. There you go. And then the answer, of course, is going to be how much one teacher gets. All right? And so let's count those up. All right, so we have 5, 6, 63, right? 63. So let's go ahead and do word problem. Yeah, that'll be a word answer. All right, so let's see here. The original question said, if two teachers share 3 boxes equally, how many crayons does each teacher receive? Each teacher will receive 63 crayons. Again, let me make sure I'm not writing in all caps because that looks like I'm screaming at somebody. There we go. Make sure you write the word crayons. Without it, it will be wrong. Thanks for sticking with me for so long. I hope you do great on the test. Don't forget, you can watch the next video for number 4. You can subscribe if you like help in math.